Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Level 1 show. Today we're doing government and security stories.
Links to share. Obviously, you notice the Wendell's not here. He's doing a tour in the tick war. It's very important to him.
Oh, actually, I was off for a few days. Does Wendell still have his mysterious illness?
I don't know if we should tell everybody about that or not.
Well, we were talking about it on Twitch.
I think he's unchanged.
Okay.
But he feels good enough to fly. So
yeah, he's not like deathly ill or anything.
I don't know, though. I think he might take that flight if he was deathly ill.
Yeah, he might. He's on a special mission. By the time they see this, they'll probably
because it'll be Tuesday.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to the links, I suppose. Oh, you know what? You were gone. Mm-hmm. You were kind of on a vacation. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I went to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, which was really nice. I went up and did some stuff in the Smokies, which was fun. Did
you do like the Main Street Gatlinburg tourist stuff or not?
We went down there one day. It was me and my mom, and I feel like it's gotten worse. Like, it was always a little bit touristy because it's a tourist area, but like, it's all distilleries or CBD oil places.
No, the aquarium, is the aquarium still there?
The aquarium's still there.
Did you go there?
I didn't go to the aquarium. We went to the Art and Craft Loop, which is like outside of Gatlinburg, and that's where they have like local artisan stuff and people who make yard art and stuff. I got some new little yard art pieces I got a little turtle made out of rocks, which is pretty cool.
So you basically purposely jammed your foot into the tourist trap?
What do you mean?
By buying the tchotchkes that they're selling to the tourists.
Yeah, but it's like the art. It's actually made there in Gatlinburg. It's not like
I
didn't buy an airbrush T-shirt. Yeah. And then I went up to the Smokies, so like we did some trails and stuff around there.
Do they still do henna tattoos?
I didn't see any of that. Now it's like I said, it really is like you walk down the street in Gatlinburg and it's like it smells like pot or alcohol down the whole strip.
Is Tennessee legal?
No. So I don't know how that works there, but there were a lot of shops for that in Gatlinburg.
Clearly, they're going to have to try harder to monitor the people of Gatlinburg. And monitoring people is the theme, I feel, of the rest of our future, until the revolution, at least. And New York, obviously at the forefront of that. They sure do love to take away your rights.
NY Senate bill would require speed limiting tech in new cars. This seems like a terrible idea.
So they don't really flesh out what speed limiting tech is. They call it ISA, which stands for Intelligent Speed Assistance. They have a little video here, but again, he's kind of like, well, we got lane control, we got, like follow distance control, we got intelligent speed, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But they never actually get to the point where it's like, we're going to force you to have this.
Yeah. I think that's where it's going, though.
Well, that's where they want it to go. Now, they want this kind of stuff to be required for a car over 3,000 pounds. Any idea how much your car weighs?
I have no idea.
More than 3,000 pounds.
I can imagine.
Yes. So you got a pretty average car. I think it's 3,300.
So every car, basically?
Other than the little,
tiny little compact
the ones
electric
they
cars.
want you to drive because it's green. Yeah.
Let's. Someone in the comments on this article mentioned that they had something like this in their car that you can turn on or off, and they said it was incredibly unreliable. Said if a sign is slightly obscured, so say the speed limit's 55, but it can only see 5, it'll try to reduce your speed.
It reads the signs. I thought there was GPS for that.
I don't know. But it was apparently very unreliable, according to that poster, which could be inaccurate. But
between this and the next story, I feel like my car is going to get a lot more valuable in the times ahead.
California is poised to phase out sales of new gas-powered cars. Was it 2024?
35.
35. Oh, wow. I was completely off. I was thinking of the last story.
Yep. They are saying that now there will be some small carve-outs for gasoline engine hybrids.
Right.
But for the most part, it really seems like an aggressive timeline.
I feel like it's a little aggressive. I also kind of get annoyed with these kind of things because it doesn't address the problem of needing a car in the first place. We should be changing zoning rules as well so people can actually walk places or bike places instead of relying on a car.
You're going to bike your deliveries somewhere?
Well, I'm saying you're
going to bike your dog to the vet?
I'm saying that in some cases it would make sense, especially in cities, because LA in California is completely spread out. it's not practical to walk or bike places. You would think in the future they should talk about doing zoning that makes it easier and less car reliant.
I just feel like I'm going to need...
Well, we are, because we live in the middle of nowhere, but...
Well, if it stays there, that would be fine with me. But I don't think it'll stay there. It tends to bleed out into the other places.
Does this story seem like a little bit of a nothing burger to you?
Every story that we've seen about this seems like a little bit of a nothing burger. Vice is usually right on top of this, too. Like, they're really stirring this pot.
Right.
And I wonder if maybe this isn't just some politician trying to guarantee that he gets this vote. Because the UFO crowd, I don't know how many there are, but there's probably more than we think.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't care about anything else. I'm voting for him because I got to know. I got to know.
Congress admits UFOs not man-made, says threats increasing exponentially. But the person they interviewed for this article is referred to as a UFO expert. And I was kind of like,
It's all based on an excerpt of an intelligence report or a oversight committee report.
Right. But the person who noticed it was a UFO expert.
But they didn't quite come out and say it, but you could extrapolate from what they said.
Right.
That basically what they want to do is they want to separate, hey, here are the ones that we know are man-made, and here are the ones that we know are not man-made. And the people that read it were like, wait, what?
Yeah.
We know that some are not man-made? Is that what you're saying? Could have just been somebody, not doing the report correctly.
Well, or is it not man-made? Was it a goose or like a bird or, unlikely,
okay.
But a thought.
I suppose that would be not man-made. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. But they said the guy they interviewed who was like, I noticed this, is referring to himself as a UFO expert. So there's part of me that was like, are you looking...
Oh, they're looking.
Looking for something that maybe isn't there, like...
You do have to definitely be careful with that. Like,
yeah.
The UFO people are, it's like...
It's like the
Mulder.
Bigfoot people.
They want to believe.
Right. I want to believe in Bigfoot, but that doesn't mean he's there.
But on the other hand, the government does hide everything.
Yeah.
So
who do I trust less, the UFO conspiracy theorist or the government? I don't know. It's a tough choice.
Well, who do you trust less, the CFTC or the SEC? And what if they work together?
Former CFTC chair, here's how SEC and CFTC can work together to regulate crypto. Basically,
he's saying that the crypto firms themselves are not doing enough. The government has to do something, but there is, as there often is, a pissing contest.
Yeah.
And he wants them to work together. But he's not part of it anymore.
Well, he said that they were dramatically underfunded during his time there. So maybe that's just a petition for more money.
So, he says that we do need more regulation. And it's hard to argue when we see crypto firm after crypto firm.
Yeah, just collapsing over the last few weeks.
But the whole idea of cryptocurrency was to sidestep the government, which I feel is the reason that they're doing this.
Yeah.
So he wants something like FINRA, which is not a government agency, but a self-regulatory agency overseen by a government agency. It just seems to add more ability for the biggest players in the industry to control things.
Right. You're not going to see these little guys coming up anymore.
I don't know. There's probably a lot of people who've gotten burned on crypto recently who's like, yeah, I need my money back. But that was dumb what you did.
Yeah.
Now, last week we saw that the GAFETs were being restricted from China. Was it the 7 nanometer and below, I think?
Something like that.
This week we have gone further. This week it's the FinFETs. I didn't know what a FinFET was.
Yeah,
I had to look it up. And I know what a MOSFET is, but a FinFET, I was looking for the acronym for Fin. It's not an acronym. They literally have little tiny fins on them.
Oh.
They're Fin field effect transistors. Oh. How adorable.
The U.S. plans to block sales of older chipmaking tech to China. This kind of just reads like we're all a little nervous about them having tech that might be used in a war.
And after decades of having them build all our chips, all of a sudden we're like, wait, no.
Wait, is this a national security issue? All the manufacturing is done in China?
So these are not the chips themselves. These are the tools to make the chips, the fab tools and the diagnostic tools and stuff like that.
There's part of me that's like, will that even make a dent in China? But probably a little.
Yeah, Probably will.
Yeah.
Because they do steal a lot of our tech, and maybe it'll slow them down. I don't know.
Just a little roadblock before they start manufacturing it themselves.
Meanwhile, they're building Teslas over there.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, one of those Teslas is going to go missing off the line. Yank all the chips out of it. Bring them over here.
Right.
That's probably harder to reverse engineer than actually fabrication technology, but still. I think that's a headline.
Yeah.
It's a political headline. And the FDIC will actually insure your money. Was it still 100,000?
250.
Oh, okay.
Is what this article said.
Didn't they do something during the pandemic and then I think they rescinded that? They changed it.
I don't remember.
But
think so.
that is if you have a deposit account at a bank, not a money market account, not an investment account. As the people in China learned, they lie about that. Financial organizations will lie about what kind of coverage you have in terms of insurance, because the Communist Party has a similar deal, but not for market accounts. Now, it seems that some crypto exchanges might be telling their users, hey, we're covered by FDIC. Patently false.
Not true.
Never been true.
FDIC orders crypto exchange FTX US for others to cease misleading claims. And the misleading claim is, hey, you'll get your money back. Because you won't. It's not insured by the FDIC.
In fact, your money is probably already gone.
But think how many great parties they had with it.
Crypto parties.
Probably the
Metaverse
worst,
parties.
the worst kind of parties imaginable.
You think there's a lot of hot young college girls at the crypto parties?
Ugh.
And Google, see, this one is from France. Yes. So Google in France in a little bit of trouble over, yeah, you guessed it, more privacy concerns.
Privacy complaint targets Google over unsolicited ad emails. It's just more of the same.
You ever get those emails in Gmail where it's actually, instead of showing you the timestamp, it just says ad?
Yeah.
So that's what's at play here. France is like, no, you cannot do this. No one wanted that. Obviously, you know it's an ad because you label it as such. You can't do it.
Really fighting for the people, though. I think Google will probably just Band-Aid it in France, right? And not do it anywhere else.
Well, that's the question. Will they do a custom in France or will they do the whole EU? Because the other countries will probably line up.
Yeah. They all just do a single fine for each EU country.
Well, here's your dream.
Yeah, I would love this.
Maybe you should go to France.
But I like it here. France is giving 4,000 euros to people who trade in their car for an e-bike. I would love an e-bike, but they are very expensive. And I don't know that I would use it enough to warrant the cost. So this would be great for someone like me.
Also, your car is worth more than 4,000 euro. So
Well, maybe. It's pretty old.
We're at parity now.
No.
So, or maybe there's a little lower at this point. Oh, for sure your car's worth more than $5,000.
You think?
Yeah. Have you looked at car prices lately?
That's true, I guess. Yeah, I'm thinking of like the last time I traded a car and I didn't get hardly anything for it.
Oh, your last car was
Well, it was a piece of shit, too.
Yeah, it was basically a road
The
hazard.
paint was peeling off. There was no muffler. One of the windows didn't work, so sometimes I'd have to put a trash bag over it. I drove that thing into the ground.
Now, unfortunately, that 4,000 euro is only for low-income people. Other people will get a lower amount descending as their income goes up.
It'd be nice, though.
Only if you have a really terrible car.
Yeah. With the energy crisis, you might not be able to charge your e-bike, though.
Well, that's the big thing, right? Like,
Right.
we're already bumping up against the limits of our
Well, Europe's worse than we
grid.
are right now, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's more of a political issue. But if the government had their way and we all transitioned, let's say by the end of the year, we would be in the dark.
Yeah.
And in Britain, this is an interesting case because we all know, well, we all suspect that Saudi Arabia hacks anybody who says anything bad about them. I mean, so does China, so does Russia.
So we probably do,
the
yeah.
United States, yeah. Wouldn't surprise me. But they have the whole political immunity thing. You can't personally go after them. If you find out Saudi Arabia's been hacking you, what do?
British judge rules dissident can sue Saudi Arabia for Pegasus hacking. Saudi Arabia said they didn't do it, but the judge said, nah, I think there's enough evidence that you did, so we're going to let this go forward.
but it doesn't matter. He wins. What happens?
Yeah, I had that same thought. I was like, will that mean anything? Will they care? Will they enforce it?
I do not think that will mean anything. So, unfortunate for this gentleman.
He's like, I live in fear. And I'm like, well, I don't think that suing them will make that fear go away, but it is kind of a nice thing that they let it happen.
I guess. So, and he did learn that he was targeted by their...
Yeah,
like, for sure.
Yeah, it was 100%. That's why the judge was like, because Saudi Arabia's like, we didn't do it, and then the judge was like, no, he's presented enough evidence that it's absolutely you guys.
Well, it's somebody did it.
Yeah.
And it really, really points to them.
Yeah.
Considering who he is. Like, who else would want to hack this guy? There's no reason. He's got nothing you want to steal. Now, last week we talked about the Hong Kong companies being delisted because we're used to, hey, one country, two systems. We can do business in Hong Kong. They're not like China. We can trust their markets. And then a couple years ago,
things got weird.
Some things happened in Hong Kong, and now maybe they're not in control anymore.
Beijing nears deal to let U.S. inspect Chinese company records in Hong Kong.
So all those stocks that got delisted, they would like to relist. My God, do they need money?
Yeah.
They're looking for capital, and they need that U.S. money coming in. So they're like, okay, now it's not going to be fully like open the books, but they are apparently going to send all the records to Hong Kong, and then we send somebody to Hong Kong to look at the records, but they will not leave China. And that's kind of like a middle ground.
You need someone who's like a mentat to memorize all those records so they can give a good accounting.
Yeah, they just like put it under his nose and flip through it real quick.
Yeah,
all right, we're done.
We're done here. Enjoy the tourist activities that we've lined up for you for the rest of your stay.
Not even that. It's like, here's your plane ticket.
Oh, they send them back immediately.
These,
wow.
These gentlemen will escort you
to the Cinnabon at the airport. You don't even get to try the local food. You just have to eat like Cinnabon at the airport.
And Vietnam, we learned last week that Vietnam is getting into the chip game, getting into the tech game, because obviously we need an emerging workforce somewhere that's willing to work for very few dollars. And it seems like Vietnam is in the batter's box there.
Yeah. They already manufacture a lot of clothing.
But they are seeing what everybody else is doing in terms of big tech, and they're like, hey, we're becoming a player. We can do the same thing.
Vietnam demands big tech localized data storage and offices. This is just another headline in a long string of headlines that we've had like this.
Yeah, lots of countries have done this so far. This is the old, you put somebody in the country, you make them responsible. If anything gets posted on your stuff that we don't like, or you do anything we don't like, we're going to go and talk to that person, and they're going to have like 24 hours. Or we'll kill them. They didn't say that.
They don't say the last part, but they imply it heavily in the emails.
Would you take that? Let's say if I said, because I'm going to pay you $1 million a year, but you have to be the Vietnamese local Google representative.
I don't think I would. Partly because I don't speak Vietnamese, but...
I hope this doesn't make a lot of noise.
Yeah, it's probably making some noise. Sorry.
I feel like the volume's a little weird this week.
Yeah, we had to turn off Wendell's mic, but I think everything was calibrated slightly differently because Wendell speaks a little louder than me and Ryan.
And the mixing board just died mysteriously right before we started.
Yeah, we had to restart it, so hopefully it's okay. We listened to some test recordings, but...
Well, Krista, you like it here. You're not willing to go to France.
No.
But
I mean, I'd visit, but I don't think I'd want to live there.
But Chattanooga, Tennessee is not that far away.
It's not.
Still in the mountains, right?
Yeah.
They're basically like us, the Tennesseans. We're not that different. And you could get this amazing perk by moving there.
EFB launches America's first community-wide 25 gig internet service.
EPB.
Oh, sorry. The headline's so small.
It's not. So yeah, these guys were already famous for being the first municipal 10 by 10 gigabit. Now they're going up to 25.
They were like, people already like this area for tourist reasons. But now, with the great internet, it's becoming like a little tech hub as well. So they're getting a lot of people moving.
But that's not just commercial.
Yeah, yeah.
Community is where you can get private 25 by 25 fiber in Chattanooga. They didn't list any prices.
I was about to say, I didn't think I saw a price in the article. I wasn't sure if that was just me or...
Geez, but That's so much speed. Would you pay $200 a month? I might.
Yeah. I already pay quite a bit for our internet.
I guarantee Wendell would.
Oh, yeah. Wendell wouldn't even question.
No.
He'd be like, no, absolutely.
Absolutely, he would get that. He would pay more than that.
How far out do you think it goes, though? Like, could you live out in the middle of nowhere near Chattanooga, or do you have to be close to the city?
Well, probably pretty close, because it doesn't sound like that company is wide-ranging.
Yeah, I agree.
And it seems like they're mostly concerned about like their convention centers and your hotels and so stuff like
downtown sort of area, yeah.
Because the big brag there was like, hey, you can fill our convention center up with the maximum people it'll hold according to the fire department and have them all on their phones at the same time. We don't care. We'll deal with that. We can do it.
Meanwhile, my little town has like a festival every year, and like when everyone descends on it, the cell service just goes to shit immediately.
It's one tower.
Yeah.
Trying to pick
just
up
everybody who's in there for the festival.
And moving on to security, and here's a big shocker. There's a non-cash app where you can make payments online, and it's not secure.
Hackers are breaking into and emptying Cash App accounts.
Now, Cash App does not have a password. Passwordless technology here. It's associated with either an email address or a phone number, and it always two factors, except it's not two factor. It's one factor because there's no password.
Right.
It uses those. Hackers appear to have found a way around that pretty easily.
Ooh.
Yeah. Unfortunate. They talk about a young boy. You know, the age-old, like Opie Taylor and Leave It to Beaver, they all had an episode where they would earn some money, and it's like, we're going to put it in the bank. We're going to teach you banking. And the mom describes going through that. It's like, my son did a summer job. He earned some money. He wanted to go on vacation. I helped him set up the Cash App, and we put it in there. It was gone the next day. Unfortunate. Not that the banks are all that much safer. Let's face it.
But at least a little bit, I would say. Better than that. Hopefully. Maybe. Watch, we're going to do a story next week where it's like the same thing happens to a major bank.
I mean, we've definitely seen that.
Yeah.
Well, Plex. Now, Wendell used to be a big Plex fan. I think he has been attempting to roll his own media server. But I bet he does have an account, so he was probably caught up in this. I messed around with this early on, but I didn't like their business model at all. I think it may have changed over the years.
Plex breach exposes usernames, emails, and encrypted passwords. Change your password now is the subheadline.
Good advice. At first they said no, they didn't get passwords, but then afterwards they were like, yeah, they got encrypted passwords.
I really wish that companies would just tell you right out. They always seem to like let it trickle out slowly. Trickle truth.
Got to manage the perception, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
But I'd have a lot more respect if they were just like, yeah, it's bad. Hurry up and change it. Like, log in now and get it fixed.
But I feel like most people aren't that aware. Most people will see one headline, and then they're like, I shouldn't trust Plex ever again. And maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Hikvision. We never did figure out if it was Hikvision or Hikvision, did we?
I think Hikvision's way funnier.
Or High K Vision.
Oh, yeah, High K could be. But the way that the logo is colored in that image, it looks like Hick. Like, that's what it's emphasized.
It does kind of feel like that, doesn't it? Because maybe if you were going to say High K Vision, the I would be lowercase.
Or it'd be like HI would be white, and then the colorful letter would be the K, and then Vision would be white again.
Hikvision.
Hikvision?
Anyway, they made cameras, and we talked a long time ago about their cameras being woefully insecure and probably built with technology that, even if it wasn't maliciously bad to let the CCP in, was just accidentally bad to let the CCP in. But the thing about it is, they're still out there. People are still using them.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Experts warn of widespread exploitation involving Hikvision cameras. If it's not the CCP, it's Amazon, right? Like Amazon Ring and stuff like that. They're all monitoring it too. There's no winning with these.
Well, they'll give up your stuff to the authorities, but hopefully they have better security. I don't know if that's true. Now, obviously, most of them are in China, but as you can see here by this chart, USA number 2. Pretty close number 2.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of a weird graph too, the way that they've depicted it. But
you say that because there's no way you can read any of those labels.
No, I can't read the labels, but like the curved line at the top doesn't let you see a very clear understanding of the stair step.
So yeah, they found a new exploit. It turns out that, I mean, you should have had these things taken out a long time ago, but they're still there, and you can search them on Shodan and those other, exploit search engines, and that's where this guy got all of his numbers, and they're just out there waiting, just juicy berries on the vine.
Subscribe to Wired to read this article.
Oh my God!
I got hit by a lot of paywalls this week, which was annoying.
Can you even make out what that headline is?
Spyware scandal, Europe. I can't see it in the search bar or whatever.
Yeah, well, I don't know, because the URL doesn't match. But basically what they're saying here is more and more, because we found out a while back, it's like country after country was like, oh, hey, I've got NSO malware. And then it was like, everybody's got NSO malware. Greece was the most recent. And Greece was kind of like, guys, really? Really? We know we're poor, but we're an EU country. You can't just do this to us. You got to show us some respect. But the interesting thing about this is not NSO.
Oh.
A new player has entered the game. I can't remember where it said they were from, but it was a much smaller country that's not known for security research, stuff like that.
Like what region of the world do you remember? We're kind of
Eastern Europe, I think.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Eastern Europe's kind of known for some of that.
Well, but they're just pointing out that we are kind of like reining in the NSO. We got some NSO stories later on, but that's not enough, because obviously if you get rid of the NSO,
1,000 others are just going to spring up in its place.
it's a market vacuum, and it will be filled, and it is being filled. And Microsoft, usually this goes the other direction. Usually people find problems with Microsoft. Microsoft gets to strike back.
Microsoft finds critical hole in operating system that for once isn't Windows.
ChromeOS is the culprit here.
Wow.
String copy, which is doesn't do a lot of checks to see if what you're copying is valid or if you have enough buffer space and so forth. And they said, hey, I bet I can buffer overflow that. They could.
Ooh.
So that's out there. I think it's been patched.
How angry do you think Google was? Damn it.
Yeah. I wonder, they probably don't pay bug bounties to each other, right? Like if you're an official Microsoft team.
Oh, that's a good question. I would think you would, because you'd want to encourage people, keeping you honest. But
I wonder if you're a Microsoft employee working for Microsoft, it's probably against the rules for you to go and do it personally, right? And get the bounty.
Maybe.
Because Microsoft would be like, no, that's our research. We get the headline.
I bet there are sort of weird non-compete things like that.
Well, college. It's been a while since I've been in college. You live in a dorm in college?
I did.
Yeah, me too.
3 years.
Interesting experience. I don't know if I'd ever want to do it again. But these days, a little bit different because, of course, pandemic.
Right.
Stay at home. So I guess what you're doing now is you're still going to the school, but in your room, in your dorm room, or I guess it could be your room at home as well.
Yeah.
They will scan you if you're taking a test remotely. Now, we've learned about these kind of services before, and they are very intrusive. And some people said, hey, you can't search. Basically, you're searching my home.
Yeah.
I have an amendment that protects me from that. And some good news, I suppose.
University can't scan students' room during remote tests, judge rules. We've done quite a few stories about different test-taking apps and stuff that schools have deployed that monitor even little things like where your eyes are and if you look away from the screen for very long, and it'll alert someone.
Or if you try to look away and speak.
Yeah.
I really don't like you to speak. Like, what if I'm always yelling at my cats?
Yeah.
I'd probably get busted for.
Or like in the case of if you're in a dorm room, like if you have a roommate who's being loud or something, hey, I'm trying to take a test, stop it. But
I bet that does come up a lot.
yeah, absolutely.
Now, why we have a picture of what looks like a primary school here?
They looked up like a stock image and like, that works. I mean, little kids do remote work now too.
You think they put them through this kind of test stuff?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. When they were doing a lot of the remote things, though, I guess it depends on the school. So like the little school that my family is from or goes to, they didn't have the money for everybody to have laptops. So like you had to go get a work binder every day. and completed it.
Oh, you mean
Yeah,
paper?
like paper and pencil kind of.
So you had to drive there?
Yep. And then they had it like all lined out outside, and then your parent had to come pick it up, and then the kids would complete the packet.
So we went from busing kids to prevent the logjam of parents to not busing kids and creating a logjam of parents, but just without the kids.
Well, this was during the pandemic. That's why they were doing it, because kids were doing work from home.
Couldn't they prep them like a week at a time? That makes no sense.
I mean, they did a lot of times, but like, someone had to go and pick up the work, and then turn it in.
They should have just had the buses run filled with binders, and your kid waits
Go
for
and
it.
grabs it. Yeah.
The Department of Education is not smart, which is, a bit of a paradox there, huh? Because like they're in charge of making us smart. We know that crypto hackers will go to great lengths because it's a really easy way to steal money, and you don't have to worry about all that pesky laundering so much. Pre-laundered money. It's like me buying the bagged salad, even though I know it's way more expensive. I'm willing to pay for the convenience. And except in this case, they're getting to the point where they're working so hard at it.
Yeah. Hackers use deepfake of Binance CCO to perform exchange listing scams. That's a terrifying future to think about, is the deepfake.
Future?
Well, I guess, yeah. Not much of, next week.
Look at that crypto scroller.
Oof.
That's
red.
That's a sea of red up there. So these guys, they would go and they would approach smaller coins and, crypto stuff. And they're like, hey, we want to get you listed on Binance. And they would pose as this guy and deepfaked him, apparently pretty successfully. What got them caught is that one company wrote that guy an email and we're like, thank you so much for doing this for you. This is going to change our lives. This is incredible. We're so happy. And his response was,
who are you?
I don't make that decision.
Oh.
That's not my job. I've never done that. And it all unraveled.
Oof.
Hyundai, that's a real popular car company. I see a lot of Hyundais on the road.
Is it lower price maybe? I don't know a whole lot about car companies, but
Well, lower than
average.
Than most, probably. Yeah. And, not American. A lot of people don't like American cars because of the reliability and stuff. Anyway, the keyless entry software, the security, they did use encryption. They used an encryption key to do that, to try to make it good. And you know what? I've done this. If you don't know how to do something and someone gives you a task, in the programming world, you don't ever say, I don't know how to do that. You just say, all right, yeah, we'll do that.
I'll figure it out.
And then you go look it up and you learn it. And you're probably going to end up copy pasting something from the internet.
At some point, yes.
But what you should do is go back and retype that, even as just that's how you could record your notes in school, but if you write them down, you'll commit them to memory.
Yeah.
Same thing for code. You never just keep the copy paste. You always do your own version of it. Change the variable names. I got through a couple classes in college doing that. Classes where I didn't really need them, but I wanted the credits. And I was like, they give you a CD with all the answers. And it's like, well, let me just change these assets and variables. They never caught on.
Yeah.
They didn't care. But these guys, people are going to care because they did something phenomenally stupid.
Hyundai uses example keys for encryption system. Blech.
So, Green Luigi 1 was doing some security research, and he was trying to sniff the key from the communication between the car and the fob, and he found a snippet of the key, and then he Googled that, and he found a
tutorial
with with the snippet that matched, and he was like, wait a minute, did they copy paste this?
Wow.
Yep, the example AES key from the internet is in Hyundais.
Oof.
Yikes.
Do you think the person who did that is going to get fired, assuming he's even still there?
No, he's not. He doesn't work for them.
No. I mean, the person who just copied and pasted.
What's Wendell's Asian bad programmer? He-Sung. That's He-Sung. Uh-huh. He'll never be called out for his failures. So they recommend getting one of those steering wheel locks, because what else are you going to do?
Wow.
Oracle, we have heard from them lately because now they are the arbiter of truth. Is TikTok spying? Oracle is going to tell us. They're going to look and they're going to tell us, and we should trust them, right?
And they're also going to be in the Nyom.
Oh, yeah,
The Line City.
The dystopian future will be heavily
Oracle.
Probably really heavily branded all over the place. But some people feel like maybe they're doing a little too much.
Oracle's surveillance machine targeted in U.S. privacy class action. I feel like anytime we do an Oracle story, I'm like, Wendell should be here. Because Wendell will rant a long time about how much he hates Oracle.
He hates them, but he has good reason to.
Oh, yeah.
So this is all about Salesforce and the fact that Oracle and Salesforce has created a database, a marketing database, which they claim has 5 billion human beings in it. And a staggering number of data points for each
It's a large portion of the population of the planet.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
What are we at? Are we at 8 billion?
I would say
that's more than half.
5 is probably a huge percentage of the people who are online, right? Because how many? We got probably 20-30% who are not online still, you think? Maybe not that many.
Yeah, I don't know.
So they are going to... Now, the thing about it is, what they're doing here, not illegal. Reprehensible, sure. Terrifying, sure. You've explained it to the average person. They're like, we should do something about that. Legally, well, that's kind of okay. So they have lawsuits in a bunch of different countries. They've already tried lawsuits in a bunch of different countries. But to no avail, it does not seem like this class action will have an easy time. Unfortunate. And they will not stop. Now, we know that China... They love surveillance.
Yes.
It's like one of the Xi Jinping, if he did what do you call the board where you like put all the stuff that you're dreaming for?
A mood board? No. It might be a dream board.
Maybe a dream board, yeah.
Mood board, dream board. What's my vision board?
Vision board. Xi Jinping's vision board for sure has some representation of global surveillance, right? With him at the controls. But as we've seen, they tend to steal some technology.
Yes.
They like to get technology that's already established. It's like, we're not going to go through this R&D stuff. That's a waste of time. We're looking to move fast. We're moving forward. Let's just steal it and make it our own. And sometimes you have to steal it. Other times you can just buy it from a mercenary.
Star American professor masterminded a surveillance machine for Chinese big tech.
So he was doing research.
We got a lot of money to do this research.
But here's the crazy thing about it. He got money from the DOD or the DOJ, I can't remember which one it was, at the same time as he got money from the Communist Party.
He's playing both sides, so he always comes out on top.
For sure is playing both sides. Now, that is not illegal, but boy, should it raise some red flags, right? I mean,
how is that not illegal?
And they looked at his work, and it was like, oh my God, it looks like China gave him a programming assignment. Like, it's everything that they want. It's identifying people walking down the street and keeping track of them, building a profile, observing their gait, observing the way that they move. And seems to work really well. They seem happy with it.
We're all going to have to, do the weird sand walk. But
Like
just to avoid surveillance, not the worm.
They'll figure that out in a week.
Yeah.
The AI would be like, I know what that is. You're sand walking, and then the cops will show up.
Yeah.
No sand walking.
Instead of jaywalking, there's no sand walking.
How great would it be if there were signs everywhere? It's like, no sand walking, next 500 feet.
Man, that would really put a damper on TikTok people because they're always doing dance moves and stuff. And it's like they're changing their gait, they're sand walking, they're flagged incorrectly.
Or a polio survivor gets beaten by the cops. It's like, how dare you avoid the algorithm? Oh, what a future. Wendell was excited about this one.
This one's sad.
This one is terrifying. Now, I think that I would know better than this, but I do understand that you would probably be kind of afraid and frantic.
Yeah.
And you'd be thinking I need answers right now. I can't go to bed with this on my mind.
Well, his doctor, the nurse, told him, do telehealth.
Both examples here. The doctor was like, yeah, just send it to me.
Yeah.
Who's investigating the doctor? I don't know. They might actually be.
Oh,
5.
A dad took photos of his naked toddler for the doctor, and Google flagged him as a criminal.
So this guy, kid had some genital issues, some swelling.
Swelling, yeah.
Called the doctor. Doctor was like, give me some pics. I got to see it. He took them. Doctor was like, all right, bring him in. I think that's just antibiotics. He'll be fine. It was. Kid's doing okay.
Just a standard rash, I guess.
Meanwhile, Google, with the old CSAM scanning, which I thought they took a pause on that.
I thought they did too, but apparently not.
Picked it up, blocked his account immediately. They sent him a message. It was like, we found this. You're done. You're turned off. He appealed. No response. The detective eventually investigated it and was like, no, this guy sending pictures to his doctor.
Yeah, this was his kid. This was the doctor. Like, he was asked to do this.
Right. So the detective then packaged all that up, all the secrecy, mailed it to that guy and was like, we investigated you. We found there was nothing here. So, like, just to let you know. And the guy was like, oh, good. Appealed again, sent that document or the packet to Google. Google doesn't care. Google's not interested.
Zero tolerance.
He loses his 2 factors. He loses all of his
calendar,
recovery,
yeah.
his authentication apps. Everything's gone. He can't get it back. Google's not interested in taking his calls. And somewhere in a database,
he's been flagged.
There's an investigation for child predator type of crap on his record.
Ugh, that makes you think, man, maybe I shouldn't be using Google stuff.
Yeah,
but
wow. If a doctor requests that from you, send them that headline.
Yeah.
Like, we'll be in tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what?
Schedule me.
We'll go to the ER. I'll borrow some money. We'll just go to the ER.
I'll borrow some money. It's too expensive, but we'll go.
And multi-factor authentication is the bane of hackers, and it's kind of pushed as this like cure-all, but it's not a cure-all.
Hackers steal session cookies to bypass multi-factor authentication.
So not only can they steal them by phishing you and so forth, but they can buy them from online forums. If you're good at stealing cookies, you don't have to do the rest of the hack. Just go sell the cookies. Let somebody else do the hacking.
Imagine you like go on a date or something. What do you do? I sell cookies. But you just never elaborate beyond that.
Oh, do you work at Insomniac Cookies? Not exactly.
No, not really.
I mostly sell cookies online.
Oh.
Or you're an Amazon seller. Not exactly.
Do you have your own storefront? Kind of.
How many customers do you have? 4. But they spend a lot. Another week, another AirTag horror story, although this one was for the forces of good, which is nice, but got to make you think, huh?
AirTag leads to arrest of airline worker accused of stealing at least $15,000 worth of items from luggage. 19-year-old.
Now, you might be thinking, well, which airline is this? I don't want to fly with them. But this was not actually an airline employee. This was an airline subcontractor. So these airlines are just using these staffing companies who are not vetting anybody.
Right.
And probably with the Great Resignation, they're probably not checking at all these days, right?
Which is... Now imagine all the security theater we go through when you fly. And then this happens.
This guy's in the back.
Yeah.
With access to the planes and the luggage, scooping it all up. So this woman had an AirTag, and they told her, well, we can't find your luggage. And she was like, well, I know where it is. It's right here. And they went to the house. Sure enough.
Wow.
Packed with stolen stuff. However, they didn't find her stuff. He'd already sold her stuff.
Well, that means you have to go do the pawn shop thing, which is always exhausting.
Everything about that sounds exhausting. I guess everything about air travel is exhausting these days.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we had DEF CON, and some interesting things came out of DEF CON. We did have a giant security section this week. That's kind of why. I feel like, people are hot for security right now. And they introduced an update to an old favorite at DEF CON.
The new USB Rubber Ducky is more dangerous than ever. I read through most of this article, but then the only thing that really struck me was the packaging photo where it's like, new and improved. There's a better one further down, I think. Yeah.
That is nice. It got his name on it.
Yeah.
So what this thing does is it emulates a keyboard, and then you can program it to do whatever you want. As soon as you plug it into a computer, you can just walk away. Just plug it in, walk away, have it do whatever you want it to do. You need physical access. And if you can get physical access to a computer, you can do almost anything you want. But I imagine this in a computer lab in a college.
Yeah.
Or a coffee shop. You're not going to necessarily notice. So some people at DEF CON did things like pop up a fake Windows login screen,
Ooh.
capture your credentials immediately, and pass it along to actually log you in so you didn't know that it happened. Log in on the USB, come back at the end of the day, pluck it out. Hey, how many logins did you get?
So many.
A bunch. I guess that would have to be a multi-user computer, but you get what we're saying.
Yeah.
Well, in a college lab.
Yeah, college lab would absolutely be that way.
And our final security story is sort of a measuring stick of who is the best at privacy. Now, this is from appleinsider.com.
So it might be a little biased.
A touch of bias.
Google tracks 39 types of personal data and Apple only tracks 12.
There's the
Google
chart.
really, really far up on that graph.
Facebook, surprisingly low, wouldn't you think?
Considering their ubiquitousness across the internet, yeah.
Half of Twitter. So, he is sort of defending Apple here, or this author, William Gallagher. But it is also true that Apple doesn't advertise to you as a business model nearly as much as all those other companies.
Yeah.
So they can kind of afford. They're still tracking you. They just don't need to build that rich profile with which to sell you ads. Yet, I think they are moving into that.
Oh, absolutely.
As soon as they crush everybody else with their, their new anti-cookie, anti-tracking technology, then they're like, oh, well, but we still know. We can tell you those
I'm
things.
sure it'll be like eventually a subscription service with Apple where it's like the lowest tier, you don't get any repair services, and also you have to watch ads every time you unlock your phone.
Oh, the unlock ad is coming.
Yeah, it is absolutely coming. I think, didn't we do a story about, was it Samsung who wanted to try something like that?
The home screen.
Yeah, they wanted ads on the home screen. Yeah, so it'll be, watch this ad to unlock your phone. Mark my words. I don't usually do a lot of level 1 predictions. That's usually Wendell's thing, but I bet that will happen eventually. Drink verification can. We're rapidly moving to a world where green texts are relevant.
They were always relevant. They changed an election. Don't you remember?
Who is this 4chan?
Tomorrow, we'll bring you a big business block and probably social, I guess. Yeah.
A lot of Facebook Zuckerberg stories this week.
Well, the big Joe Rogan interview.
Yeah.
So many headlines coming out of the Joe Rogan interview.
I think we have at least 3 stories about that.
And that was out of the 6. I was like, I don't want to put them all in there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of those covered the other stuff, but I haven't listened to it yet. I plan to. It's I did listen to the part about Joe at the very end of the interview confronted him about being his robotic water drink.
Yeah.
He didn't have a good excuse for it.
He was like, oh, you just don't look good in that long of a thing. But anyway, we'll see you guys then. Bye.